Hello, Madridistas. Welcome back to another episode of Let's Be Real podcast. If you guys are new here, don't forget to smash the likes and subscribe to the channel. We're on the road to 3K. Right. I pick up our audio listeners as well. Especially, I would like to shout out, praise Javandi, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, from Nigeria. He sends his love. And also, he mentioned that, Mbappe is going to bag a hat trick. And I'm going to keep my promise. And there you go. I heard it first from him, and it actually, happens. So yeah, man, big up praise, big up Nigeria every single time, and um, good days, Mo. Good days, finally. Yeah, like before we get into it, shout out to our sponsors, Manscaped. Go check them out. LBR20 to get 20% off and free shipping on Manscaped.com. Go show some love to Fanatics, official partners of La Liga and Real Madrid. Go, show their incredible collection of sports apparel. A look, the link is in the description below. Make sure you guys go through our affiliated links so that they know that you guys came through us. And also show some love to Talksport and their socials. Obviously, this pod and everything on LBR is officially powered by the Talksport Fan Network, powered by the fans, the biggest sports radio station in the world. Right. Mo, talk to me, man. It's been a while. We have been together. Our team has kind of undergone a transformation in terms of its confidence, to say the least. Mm. Right. No, our team, Real Madrid, man. Mm. 100%. Say mashallah, say mashallah. Mhm. Right. Right. Mo has no idea. Apparently, they are mentioning. I have no idea why.
I guess it should be fine now.
Just let us know, people in the chat, if Mo's audio is back.
Yeah, I think it should be fine now. We should be
Okay.
good now. Yeah, man. But
Right.
let me start again. Okay, I can't do everything again, but yeah, man.
Talk
Definitely
to me
excited.
about the transformation our team has undergone in the past, couple of months, especially post El Clasico, in the league, and just completely disregarding the Super Copa. We have kind of bounced back.
Yeah. Yeah, man, definitely. Before I get into anything, I would just like tell Ashik that, unlike Barcelona, my audio does make a comeback. So, having put that aside, I mean, like I was saying, man, like both
Yeah.
our teams, both Real Madrid and the Let's Be Real team seem to be completely rejuvenated now. So these are exciting times for us. For me, for today's game, I was gonna say that it was a brilliant performance, but I don't want to go that far. I just want to say it was a very enjoyable game, especially as a
Yeah.
Madrid fan. You turn it on like the past few months. You turn on a Real Madrid game, you kind of feel like, oh man, like I have to sit through this and I have to watch it. But
Yeah.
today, it was like I came back from work and immediately afterwards I just turned on the game. I was like, this is something. This was definitely worth it. This was definitely worth turning on. Coming after work tired and you turn on the game, and you were treated to an experience. So and then the cherry on top was the fact that somebody scored a hat trick. We'll get into that later, but yeah, definitely a pretty enjoyable match for me.
100%. I remember, how we kind of had interactions over here in previous sports matches, 2 months ago, when the team had a different outlook. The confidence was probably rock bottom. There were a large number of players second guessing what they were supposed to do on the pitch. They clearly lack direction. They clearly lack the drive that we are seeing at the moment in time, and I think we had to kind of take those blows, probably early in the season to kind of understand where we stood. We were coming off the back of a historic double winning season, so obviously the uh, the motivation wouldn't have been exactly sky high. But after the couple of humblings, much needed humblings against Barcelona, not exactly ideal losing to them in that fashion, but I think it kind of reignited something within us, within not just the players, but the hierarchy, the management. They just look like, they have something to prove again. And that just makes me all the more confident that we are going to do something special yet again with, Carlo and the boys, man. No matter how much we think they aren't really ideal for this team moving forward, the jury is still out. The doubters, more often than not, these guys, they prove them wrong. So I'm all for it, all for it. The
Yeah,
way this league is moving,
yeah. For me
especially.
personally, I kind of like. I just want to echo what you said, and I agree that there were some growing pains, especially. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we sort of expected there to be some growing pains, but we didn't expect it as as hard of a painful experience as we had to endure, especially till December. I think, especially with Kylian
Yeah.
Mbappe, because I think Mbappe coming in, everybody sort of expected him to gel in and start scoring, even if everything wasn't perfect. But
Mm-hmm.
it didn't quite work out like that, and we could see that he was struggling towards the beginning of the season. But now it seems like he's fitting right in, especially his chemistry with Jude seems to be, off the charts, if I can say that. But for me personally, especially when we talk about the fact that uh, there have been some discussions that you and me had, if I remember correctly, about
Yeah.
the management and how Real Madrid need to progress. And probably I was a little harsh in saying that Carlo Ancelotti should be sacked immediately. But I still feel like,
Probably, you said. Fair.
yeah, but I still feel like this probably is going to be the last season that Real Madrid and Ancelotti are together, because for me
Mm-hmm.
personally, I kind of do see I kind of do see it coming to an end, especially
Mm.
depending on what managers are available at the end of the season. But then,
Yeah.
right now it's not the time to talk about it, probably. Right now it's probably the time to bask in the glory of Real Madrid. I guess the last 3 games have been pretty good for us. Las Palmas, Salzburg, and today at Valladolid. So good results. Real Madrid finding that scoring touch. I was reading somewhere in the last like 10 or 13 games, Real Madrid have scored like 45 goals. So,
Mm-hmm.
it seems like we are back in goal scoring form as well. Everything looks to be rosy, especially if you if you sort of like kind of pull up your blinders and ignore that game against Barcelona. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, man, I mean, I'm pretty happy about the direction the team is going, especially the fact that Ancelotti finally seems to be willing to give some of the players who are maybe performing a little bit better more
Yeah.
chances. Because there has been this change where he suddenly seems to be giving Arda Güler and even
Mm.
Hendrik, and most importantly even Raul Asensio more game
Mm.
time. So I guess that's
Yeah.
always a positive.
See, I'm going to say something that many people wouldn't agree with. Probably 95% of you guys and the fans tuning in later on wouldn't be really agreeing with me. But when Mo said that, yeah, this probably is going to be, Carlo's last season. Like, if you asked me 2 months ago, I would say, yeah, the way things are looking, especially like, I would think he's going to get sacked mid-season, right? It was that bad. Like, I'll be honest, it was that bad. I couldn't defend the performances, not the results anymore. But when he himself comes out and says that, like, I wouldn't really run away from the chance to manage this dream team of mine. It would be the management who's going to make the decision, right? I'm pretty sure when it comes to the summer, and hopefully, the way things are looking, I'm pretty confident that we are going to win at least one of the major honors. And I put my money on the table, and say with chest that we're going to at least win the La Liga, at this rate. But um, when it comes to the summer, and when the board and Perez weighs up their options, like, I would plead to them, look at what happened to Xabi Alonso's Leverkusen away at Atleti. The naivety with which that team played, playing against a team that was, a man down. in that fashion. I mean, I wouldn't want my team to be where they were. Obviously, flashier football, a lot more, free flowing. You can call it, but nah. I
For
would still want Carlo,
for me,
to be my manager. To be
I
honest.
sort of understand where you're coming from because Carlo Ancelotti,
Mm,
like even when I said that maybe he wasn't the
mm,
right solution for Real Madrid, like when I said what I said, I
mm,
still maintain the fact that Carlo Ancelotti, in my opinion, is like one of the greatest managers of all time. Right? He has been a great contributor to this club, and even if Real Madrid do decide that this is the perfect time to part ways, that wouldn't change. And Carlo Ancelotti is
mm,
always going to be a legend of Real Madrid, and
yeah.
he's always going to be one of the greatest managers of all time. And I think even today he's one of the greatest managers
Mm,
currently managing. But for me, the big reason why I feel that this Real Madrid and Carlo Ancelotti thing has turned its course is the fact that I think Real Madrid right now need fresh ideas. When Zidane left initially in 2018, he said that we have achieved as much as we could, and this is a
mm,
time for certain fresh new ideas to come in. And
right.
I guess to an extent that was true.
Mm,
Zidane definitely came back later on in the next season, and then uh, you know things didn't exactly pan out the way they did the first time around. But for
mm,
Ancelotti, I think especially when you look at his record in the big games, especially this season, and
yeah.
there have been some obvious concerns with organization and everything. For me personally, I know a lot of people do say that Ancelotti doesn't do any tactics and Ancelotti doesn't do
Mm,
this and do that. But for me, I've always fallen back to the fact that Ancelotti was the reason. He laid the blueprint for the Real Madrid that dominated the club, like Europe, for many years to
mm,
come. So I've always felt that Ancelotti, maybe okay, he's not as tactically rigid, but then he always has that. He has that knack of making things happen. He has that knack of
mm,
laying down a blueprint which his players
yeah.
follow, even if it's like not a tight blueprint. It's just like a loose idea about how to do things. So for me, yeah, I definitely I enjoy what Ancelotti is doing. I do understand what you're saying about the
Mm,
summer and not to be, not to be overtaken by the glitz and glamour of maybe Xabi Alonso's football. But having
mm,
said that, I do feel that this team needs a little bit of freshening.
yeah.
That's not going to happen with the players. That definitely has to happen with the manager. And I do understand the pitfalls because they could hire Xabi Alonso and it might not go to plan. It might not
Mm.
work out, and we could suddenly start losing, and then we might end up sacking the manager, like what happened when
The
we.
thing is more, to add to what you just said, it can never be as smooth a transition as many
Definitely,
envisage it to
definitely,
be,
it's
right?
it's not going to be
Mm,
smooth. But then the thing is, like,
mm,
for me, I think this team definitely needs a little bit of freshening up, especially with the way things are. And I guess bringing in a fresh new blood, some fresh new
mm,
ideas is
mm,
definitely going to work. But then, yeah, if right now the way I am, if Ancelotti decides, if Florentino decides that Ancelotti is going to be the manager for 4 more years till
yeah.
he's here, okay, I'm not going to complain too much like I was earlier on the season. But yeah, I still have that feeling somewhere in my mind.
100%, 100%. I get where you're coming from, but at the same time, look at the stat, Real Madrid had not scored at least 2 goals in 13 consecutive games since the 60-61 season with Munoz and Stefano, right? That's a long, long time. That was before my dad's time, to be honest.
No, no, that
So,
those things are fair, but man, like we have to look at the record
no, I
in
get it.
the bigger games, right? And this season,
I know.
especially for me, Ramiro, like in the bigger games. I mean, e- even in the even the Clasico against Barcelona. I mean, yeah, we might want to push it back, but that game happened, and the
It
performance
happened,
that
yeah.
day was like diabolical. So
But let's be honest, Mo, like to just close this discussion off, this isn't really warranted, but since you're here, we're kind of taking our little one-on-one back up, right? It's only fair. The people get to hear, but Xabi Alonso, right? Like for all the plaudits that he has been getting, he'll be adhering to a very specific system that has very little
nah, man,
leeway.
I disagree.
I don't know, because he'll need specific signings,
No, I
specific
disagree.
kind of players
I think
to
people have
work.
created this idea in their minds that Xabi Alonso is
Mm,
like this tactic, like this system manager when he's not.
mm,
Xabi Alonso, like obviously he has certain ideas that he wants to adhere to, but then the thing is like when he was at La Real, especially La Real B, he had a different way, different formations, different things that he used, different players, different talent set that he kind
Yeah.
of adapted to, and then he came to Leverkusen and adapted to it. So I do think he can do that, but I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be Xabi Alonso. It could be anybody, but I mean,
I'm telling you more. Xabi Alonso is never winning a double without a striker. Period. Period.
okay,
Period.
okay.
Period.
I mean that's the ultimate flex
You
that
don't come back to that.
Carleto has. He can always say, I went on and won the double without a striker. So but that goes to show you where Ancelotti is. I mean, he's one of the greatest managers of all time, right? That's what we started this discussion by. So, I mean, Carlo Ancelotti could also say nobody has won as many European Cups as I have. So, there are different levels. So, but yeah, even if Real Madrid do decide to go in a different direction, it doesn't change the achievements that Carleto has, or his greatness, and especially his status at Real
Two
Madrid.
doubles in 3 years more.
Yeah.
I mean, how many coaches can really do that? Not just at Madrid, like any other club.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. Big up, Carlo. But on to Mbappe, man. Like I was very critical. I really didn't like his demeanor, his general attitude of how he was moving on the pitch. He waited for the game to come to him rather than him basically kind of forcing the issue, which I think when Mbappe forces the issue, you saw tonight more against the low block of Valladolid. He was the one who was basically orchestrating how we were supposed to penetrate a very you wouldn't call it the most tactically efficient setup by Valladolid, but they were there to really make it difficult for us to score goals, and it looked like we were going nowhere up until Mbappe and Jude combined for that goal. Talk to me about him more. We knew all along that there is way too many gears for Mbappe to go up in order for him to be really successful with us. But the past couple of months has really been that period where he has climbed a couple levels at least.
Yeah, for me, I think Mbappe said it best himself when he did his press conference midweek. He said that he was trying too much to be passive. He was trying too much to give other people a chance, and he was trying too much to adapt his game to how others were playing. He was hesitant to go into spaces that were occupied by Vinicius or Rodrigo. And since I guess that game at Athletic Club where he missed a penalty, everything has changed for him. I guess he's trying to be more active, like you said, and he's trying to take more of a stranglehold of games, and the results are there to be seen. For Kylian Mbappe, I think, I mean, there isn't much that can be said about this guy that hasn't already been said. He's one of the best players in the world, probably the best. Obviously there is Vinicius as well, and Vinicius' work speaks for itself. So you cannot really discount him. So, but Kylian Mbappe, like when he's in form, he can definitely go up to another level. And for me, I mean, as a Real Madrid fan, I'm pretty happy about the fact that Kylian Mbappe is at Real Madrid. And I mean, there definitely were some doubts, especially going into the season, especially on social media, about how Kylian Mbappe was going to adapt to this team, how he might be a reason why this team's harmony, or how everybody interacts with each other might get disturbed. But so far, he has shown a lot of humility. Even today, after the post-match, he came out and he was asked a question that Vinicius and Rodrigo said that they want to make sure that Kylian Mbappe gets a lot of opportunity to score and he wins the Pichichi. But he said, it kind of is a PR answer when you kind of think about it. But then he had immediately said that it doesn't necessarily have to be me who is the highest goal scorer. It doesn't necessarily have to be me to be the Pichichi. Anybody can do that, and at the end of the day, all that matters is that Real Madrid wins. So, and his interactions with Jude, his interactions with Vinicius, his interactions with Rodrigo. I mean, nowhere have I ever felt like the impression that we got when he was at PSG, where he was, I believe it was Neymar who came out and kind of sort of started this debate about how Mbappe kind of got sad about the fact that people were taking away attention from him when Messi came in. But I mean, for me, I don't really see any of that for the Kylian Mbappe that has been at Real Madrid. So far as I might go to say, this is the Mbappe that Florentino said, this is my Mbappe, and the one at PSG wasn't Florentino's Mbappe. So for me, Kylian, there have been some struggles, but now all seems to be going fine. Hopefully, I guess he's only 2 goals behind or 1 goal behind Lewandowski in the Pichichi race, and I believe he already has like 22 goals this season.
I'll be very honest, Mo. A couple of my friends, I don't know if this is too NSFW for this pod, but to put it lightly, I remember a couple of my friends, they were at the beginning of their pregnancy when Lewandowski was on like 13 or 14. They have a child now, so I don't understand the rate at which Lewandowski has completely shat the bed. They apparently run away
If you remember,
Pichichi winner.
if you remember, this happened the first season Lewandowski was here as well. I believe it was the 22-23 season. Immediately after the season, Benzema won the Ballon d'Or. Lewandowski was completely running away with it at the start of the season, and then Benzema, he didn't play as much because of the injuries. But then, whenever Benzema would come back, he would just score that many that he would get close to Lewandowski. And towards the end, there was this real chance that Benzema could overtake him. But because of injuries or whatever, it didn't really happen. So Lewandowski always seems to be a guy who starts off pretty well. But keeping that going towards the end of the season, to the business end of the season, is really important. And let's see.
And the team doesn't do Lewandowski any favors, the way Barcelona has been.
Yeah, I mean, but I would just say that Lewandowski has a perfect manager for him. He's the manager under whom, as you might well remember, as Barcelona fans might well remember, they had that immense 2-8 game. So, Lewandowski, a brilliant player, especially, when he was at Bayern, we saw what he could do.
Yeah.
And he could still turn it around and be the Pichichi, but it kind of gladdens me to know that, Kylian Mbappe has a very real chance. Especially, because given the fact that we all were talking about how Mbappe was like, having one of the worst seasons of his career, and maybe he was just a flat track bully playing in the French league, but now he's in La Liga, real competition, and he seems to be doing fine. So
one of the fan cams, Sid was doing outside the Bernabeu after Salzburg. There's this guy. He mentioned this very good insight that leagues like the French league probably doesn't really bring the best out of top quality players. Like when Mbappe came to La Liga, he just knew that he was in a different kind of a setting that he needed to really carve out the chances a bit more than he would probably at PSG. And now we are seeing what this man can actually do. 22 goals, all comps, 15 in La Liga, 8 goals in the last 5 games. The way he accelerates at this moment, and the way he basically just has that spring in his step, that is the Mbappe that we grew up watching. The first 2-3 months he looked a tad bit slower. He was basically on roller skates. But now it looks like he is a car that has basically undergone a heavy aerodynamic mod up, because Mbappe is clearly at this moment looking like the best player in this team. If you had asked the fans 2 months ago, it would have been Vinny unanimously, but now it is completely flipped over.
Yeah, I mean, if you had asked this question 1 month ago, or maybe even 15 days ago, everybody would have said Jude. So for me, the best part about this team is the fact that there's always somebody stepping up, especially towards the beginning, maybe it wasn't as much, but in the past few months, somebody has been making a point to step up and make sure that this team goes on to achieve what it should achieve. Having said that, it gladdens my heart to be listening to so much Mbappe praise from you. So I already feel that my day and my my how do I say it, my this moment where I am in this podcast, it feels pretty fulfilling. But having said that, I just want to point out the fact that I did not grow up watching Mbappe. I was pretty grown up by the time Mbappe came home.
Yeah. You should remember that I'm like 3-4 years younger to you, so it totally makes sense.
But definitely. I mean, everything that Kylian Mbappe and the team is doing at this moment, especially in the past 3 games, has been brilliant. So this is a pretty happy moment to be a Real Madrid fan.
100%. Also, I would like to point out, like when he used to drop earlier in the season, it used to almost look like he is being, deliberately trying to get involved. Right, like he was kind of left feeling like, at least from the onlookers, us watching the game, it used to feel like he's trying way too much to get involved, and the play used to usually get by him without him, kind of having an influence on it. But now when he drops deep and basically dictates some of the stuff that's going to happen ahead of him, it looks like Benzema, and it is high praise. The way basically he just you know uh, pushes the ball and just runs past the centre backs, especially top uh, centre backs, not just in La Liga but in Europe. It's going to be a problem to deal with, especially if you have Vinicius and Rodrigo, and add to that Jude Bellingham also making runs in behind. This is going to be something that is going to create a lot of chances for us from now until May.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with a bit about everybody combining is definitely going to be dangerous for teams from rest of Europe. Having said that, you made a point about Benzema. I wouldn't go that far, but I do get the sentiment that you're trying to put up, and I would agree with that. The thing is, like, when you saw Mbappe earlier on the season, you could see that this wasn't a player who was full of confidence. His movements kind of fell too individualistic. They were more focused on the fact that he needed to gel in. He needed to put in and put his stamp on the game, and it was like he was trying to just get a hold of something so that he could pull himself back into the way the team was running. But right now he feels to be he seems to be the Mbappe who's like fully confident. His movements seem more purposeful. They seem to be tailored towards making sure that the team benefits at the end of it. And even if I remember correctly, even last week, he scored 2 goals. He could have had the hat trick, but he was more interested in making sure that the other players could score, or people who were in better positions could
selfless Mbappe. I was rubbing my eyes basically. I couldn't fucking believe it.
But that's what happens when a player is on confidence and in a good run of things. They suddenly become more secure about themselves. They're more confident in the fact that if a chance comes in, they can score and benefit from it. And I guess this is what we've been seeing from Mbappe, especially compared to the Kylian that was there towards the start of the season. But at the end of the day, Real Madrid is the one benefiting. I mean, to quote maybe Benzema, this Real Madrid looks like more like a Formula One and making Barcelona look like a go-kart right now.
Long may it continue. Also, like you saw what he did against Salzburg as well. He is clearly putting in the shift to carry this team forward. Also, I would like to, like after talking about this, I think it'll be a segue into Jude. But the combination between Mbappe and Jude tonight was something telepathic. Like really, they just combine so well. It's just almost instant the way they find solutions in the final phase. Not all teams are going to be sitting this deep against us. Obviously, in the Champions League, we are going to be afforded a lot more space, right, against top tier opposition. But this is clearly looking like, even if Vinny is kind of not probably for all his excellent performances over the years, if he gets suspended, we wouldn't be too worried because Jude, Rodrigo, and Mbappe has a thing going on at this moment in time.
I didn't completely grasp your point, so I apologize if I say something that doesn't really fit that.
But basically, the chemistry, Jude and Mbappe, basically that's what I.
No, I definitely got that. I didn't really understand the Vinny bit, but leaving that aside, for me, definitely, man, I agree with you about the Jude and Mbappe thing, because I started.
If Vinny is getting suspended, that's what I meant. If Vinny is facing a suspension, Jude, Mbappe, and Rodrigo is going to do the job. In previous seasons, if Vinny would miss a game, it would be end of the world. Remember, at least last year.
I wouldn't 100% agree with that. I sort of understand where you're coming from, especially for the bigger games where Real Madrid definitely needed Vinicius to win. And there were many moments where Vinicius completely dragged us into games. Like I remember the game against Valencia last season where that definitely happened. But I would also like to remind you that there was a period of time last season where both Jude and Vinny were missing, and Rodrigo stepped up massively to make sure that Real Madrid were on track. So but I kind of understand where you're coming from and the point that you're trying to make. The chemistry in Jude and Mbappe, I started off saying that for me that was one of the highlights of this game, and I definitely agree with you where you say that if he's missing, these guys can definitely step up and make sure that the job gets done. But then I would like to quote Carlo Ancelotti and what he said in the pre-match presser for the game today. He said that we have to remember the fact that Vinicius is the reason Real Madrid won 2 Champions Leagues. I mean, I definitely do agree that there were other players who were contributing as well. It wasn't like it was just Vinicius carrying Real Madrid, but Real Madrid, like Vinicius was a very big reason why we won the Champions League last season and the season with Benzema. So I can never discount Vinicius. I can never be, there isn't enough praise in the world that I can give Vinicius.
1.0 G-O-A,
Yeah.
In the Champions League is Cristiano level shit.
Exactly, and especially when you consider the fact that there's been only one knockout tie in the Champions League where he hasn't contributed with a goal or an assist. Like this guy is immense. Like he is incredible. He's the new Mr. Champions League, if I can say that. But coming back to Jude and Mbappe, and you made a very brilliant point, very valid point. The fact that their chemistry seems to be off the charts right now, and their combinations. And the thing about Jude that I would especially like to highlight is the fact that for me this is a turning point for Real Madrid. Like I've said this many times, for me the turning point of the season for Real Madrid was that game against Girona where they were completely dominating, but then there's this one ball that Jude, it feels like the game is lost, but he still chases it down and makes sure that something happens, and he scores a goal off of it. And that at that point of the season, I could see if you're watching other players, you could see something suddenly click in their heads. Like we were getting completely dominated by Girona at that point, and but then this guy, he chases that ball to the end where everybody thought, okay, maybe the ball is lost, but he still chases it down and makes something happen. Yeah. And then suddenly you could see, for me, I could see it in Mbappe. I could see it, suddenly something clicked for him. Because I could see, his demeanor change after that. So for me, personally, Jude is like one of the heartbeats of this team. So, and the fact that he's clicking with Mbappe is not a surprise to me, because I think when you put best players together, it doesn't always work perfectly. But when these guys get on the same wavelength, it is truly special. And right now for Real Madrid, it seems like something truly special is happening. And maybe another reason for this special thing happening is somebody a little behind in the midfield, whom I'm pretty sure we'll talk about.
But more.
Yeah.
Let me. If I say this, will it be hyperbole? Right? We take Vinny, we might win the game. We take Mbappe, we might win the game. If we take Rodrigo out, we might win the game. But if we are missing Jude Bellingham, I don't think the chances are as clear-cut as, if you're missing our front three, one of our front three.
I disagree with that, but I do think Jude is very important to Real Madrid, especially in moments where where it seems like all hope is lost. Because in those moments, Jude definitely does step up, and I guess it is his leadership skill that really shines through in those moments, because he chases plays that others normally would give up on, and he tries and makes something happen. Because for me, the biggest example is the one that I've given you, the game against Girona, completely dominating, and then suddenly he turns the game around and we win the game. So for me, definitely I do understand the sentiment that you're making, that in certain situations Jude can be incredible, but then same can be said about Vinicius as well. I mean, do you remember the game against Bayern last season where the second semi-final where Vinny made some stuff happen out of nothing. So so I guess when we're talking about players like these, Kylian Mbappe, Jude Bellingham, even Rodrigo, all of these guys, Vinicius, not to forget his name, Fede, all these players have this special knack to make things happen. So these are pretty brilliant players, and Real Madrid is a pretty brilliant team.
I can't remember the last time we had such a competition for who can decide games. It was a long time ago, I'll be very honest. But big up Kylian Mbappe. He's the first Madrid player since Morata to score an away La Liga hat-trick. Never thought I would read Morata.
Morata scored an away hat-trick? I'm surprised. I didn't think he did.
16-17 season, probably. But Ceballos, Mo. I've spoken plenty on him. I guess it's your turn. This is what he hoped for when he joined us in 2018. This is the run of form, the vein of form that he always, I think, dreamed about.
Yeah, I mean, finally, this is like the first sustained period where Dani Ceballos is getting a lot of game time to play at Real Madrid. Because I've never remembered a period before this that Ceballos has had this many run of games, he has never been in this position where he has had the role that he has had right now. And I think it would be remiss not to give Carleto the due praise that he deserves in this situation, because Ancelotti really fought for his renewal. So, Ancelotti deserves a lot of praise on that for all the stuff that we have said about maybe needing fresh ideas or stuff at the end of the season. Ancelotti knows when how to manage a group of players, and he knows which players can be important to the team. So,
and he has backed a few players that really has worked for us.
Yeah, especially, and Ceballos is one of the biggest examples of it. I would like to, there was this period of time, I remember, I think it was in the 21-22 season, where we had this discussion about Ceballos, and I said that, he's not going to be Cruz, but he is going to be a Cruz light, where he might give us certain things that Cruz does, especially with his passing and his recycling of possession. And right now that Cruz is I was gonna say Cruz is no more, but that sounded like Cruz is dead, but he's not. But
My God.
Right now that Cruz isn't with the team, it's like it has opened up a spot for him, especially with Luka Modric. Slowly but surely going towards the end of his career. I don't know if it's going to be next year or if it's going to be 20 years from now, but slowly, he definitely isn't the Luka Modric of the old. So this has opened up a spot for Ceballos, and he has definitely made himself useful, and credit deserves to be given to him. Last season he was being hounded by Turkish fans. This season he's being protected by all Madrid fans. So you rarely see turnaround like these, and for me, the biggest takeaway has been the fact that probably 19 at Real Madrid is a magical number, because Luka Modric, when he first started wearing the 19, not the best of starts, but slowly but surely
he won Decima 6-7 months later. Come on.
I mean, Luka Modric came in
2013. I mean, a year later.
Yeah. So it took a year and some months for him to, and Ancelotti again to cement his place in the side. And Ceballos.
But I'll be very honest, Mo. When Mourinho used to throw Modric on with Ozil and the likes, he used to be really, really effective. I used to think, I was really clueless about the fact that he actually got voted the worst signing.
Okay,
of the season.
The worst signing thing, I don't want to pay too much attention to it, because it was an online vote, and there was a lot of, how online voting goes. But
and Barca was,
Yeah. So, but the thing is, we have to remember the fact that Luka Modric didn't really have the best of stats of Real Madrid. It was when he scored that goal against United that everybody, especially Madrid fans, certainly started saying, okay, maybe we have a player here. And as much as we might want to be revisionist, the first season wasn't that great for him. And, it was only till Ancelotti suddenly decided that I'm going to change a little bit in my tactics. And, he started playing the midfield of Di Maria, Modric, and Alonso, that Luka Modric slowly but surely he grew into that role. But for me, the same thing, I wouldn't say that Ceballos is going to go down the same track that Luka Modric did, because
for me, he needs to really come up clutch in big games, decide big games, create those line-breaking assists in big games.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you there, because I was reading a stat about the fact that he doesn't really have that many key passes, whatever that means. So there still is a little bit of question mark about his effectiveness. But having said that, Ceballos has totally transformed this team, especially when since he has gotten that role, and he's he's completely transformed his own role, because if you remember the summer, there were questions about him getting sold, going back to Betis, or going back wherever. But right now, I don't think you can. I mean, you would have to look really, really hard to find a Real Madrid fan who would say that Ceballos should be sold, or he doesn't really have a role in this team. So full credit to him, and definitely he has gotten an opportunity. He's making full use of it, and hopefully it can continue. And maybe one day all the Arsenal fans, they might wonder why they didn't take full advantage of him when he was at Arsenal on loan for multiple years. Because that was the first thought that came into my mind when I was watching him today. I was like, this guy, he used to be at Arsenal, and Arsenal didn't give him an opportunity. But now he's at Real Madrid, and he's potentially going to be a starter in Real Madrid's midfield. So Ceballos definitely has come a long way, and hopefully, he gets the rewards he deserves, because this is an incredibly talented player. We cannot forget that in his young, when he was still coming up as a youth player, I believe one of the underage tournaments.
20.
Yeah,
Under 20, under 21 level, he was
yeah,
very
he
highly rated.
won the player of the tournament if I remember correctly. So
Mm.
there always was a lot of potential in him, and I hope that even if he doesn't reach the potential that we thought he would, he reaches
Yeah.
some way to it. I'm not expecting him to be Cruz, but I hope even if he's half as good as Cruz, this Real Madrid team will definitely benefit from him, because
Mm.
when you look around in the market, there aren't many players who can do what Cruz does, and Real Madrid
Yeah.
definitely do need a player of that, like of that ilk.
Mm. There should be someone in midfield, like how Cruz used to basically, take that mantle. When the team is in trouble, they play to Ceballos. I like how the team is kind of, has completely warmed up to him, and they trust him so much that, when they need someone to bail them out of a tight spot, it's Ceballos turning up and, recycling possession and taking up the responsibility. Probably in previous years, I would say he used to be a little. Uh, yeah, he used to be a little cold in terms of his eagerness to kind of ask for the ball and basically like take on the responsibility and be like like I'm gonna basically dictate the game from deep. But now there's a significant seismic shift, I must say, in both in terms of not just his confidence but the confidence from the management and his peers, and he's really reveling in this newfound form and run of games. Like I just wonder, the only question is more when Kamavinga and Chouameni are completely fit and ready to go, will Ceballos still find his starting spot unscathed? That is my question, and I think we'll only know when the playoffs come about.
For me, I kind of you kind of have to look at Ancelotti's past record and wonder, because
Yeah.
the thing is, like, Kamavinga and Kamavinga especially,
Mm,
Kamavinga has stepped up in key moments and given Ancelotti what he needed. If
yeah.
you remember the 2021-22 season, even though it was his first season, Kamavinga was pretty influential towards the end of games. And so I
Last year's final.
sorry. Last year's
Last year's
final.
final.
Yeah, yeah, definitely a good point. So for me, the thing is, like, Kamavinga, he has this track record, and it wouldn't be fair to him to just let him go without giving him an opportunity to reclaim his spot back. And
Mm,
I think it's a difficult job for Ancelotti, because you mentioned Chouameni as well.
yeah.
Chouameni right now is playing in the back line, and Kamavinga. There's always an option of putting Kamavinga and left back to get him some game
Mm,
time. But the thing is, like, for me, it is important that Kamavinga and Chouameni play in midfield, so that they improve their skill set in that particular department, because Kamavinga especially, I think, needs a lot of repetitions in the midfield, so that he
mm.
can grow into the player that we all know he can become. Having said that, will Sabah still get a time? I mean, it definitely is up to Ancelotti and what the team needs. So hopefully they come to the right decision.
There you go. There you go. Like I was wondering if you would share a different sentiment, but yeah, like we are kind of on the same page. Ceballos is a unique talent. He has a USP that we are clearly relying on at this moment in time. We have a young core midfield core who really doesn't have the chops for controlling games, and he is someone that has uh, that specific skill set. I think if we are going to win big games this season, he's going to play a vital part, and I hope it's from the start, because we need the energy, the legs, the dynamism of a Kamavinga or a Chouameni from the bench. I do believe that. Well, I'm not so sure about Chouameni anymore. He needs to earn his trust back, earn my trust back. Sorry, he has to kind of clearly step up and regain the confidence of the faithful. But um, Ceballos, I think, has to start if he has to have any sort of impact in the game. But Champions League is another completely different beast. You never know. We might be playing catch up in games, and he can suddenly come on and enforce some calmness. He can be used that way as well. So, but yeah, he'll be wondering why he wouldn't start games after these many games back to back, having the kind of influence that he had. He would be a bit confused if he didn't get to start. But like you said, going off Carlos' track record, his wife or girlfriend or his mom, I don't know, would be telling them, just be patient, just be patient. But yeah, let's get into a few of the comments quickly. Big up Ashik. He was mentioning Mbappe's worst season, and he's already the second for Pichichi. Funny how life is. Yeah, funny how life is. Um, but yeah, like I was like, there's a couple of housemates I have who are Barcelona friends. I was telling them, they were laughing in my face after the Super Copa final. So I was telling them, you guys were celebrating so much. Like I knew it's a classic win. I had to let you guys have that, but all of a sudden you guys have gone quiet. I wonder why. 7 points lead. So they got so frustrated with how calm I was. They mentioned that we are never going to win the league. One. Two, Barca are going to win the Champions League. It's Barca or Atleti winning the league, and Barca definitely winning the Champions League. So I was like, okay.
I just like to correct you. I just like to correct you and say it's a 10-point lead right now. So
yeah, with a game in hand for Barca, of course. Probably they're going to win tomorrow. But this is the thing, like people are counting us out, despite the fact that all their lives they have stood there and watched us win trophy after trophy after trophy. So I get. I get the frustration, but I do question their logic sometimes. You can't bet against Madrid. But yeah, man. Fingers crossed. Touch wood. I don't want to jinx anything. We haven't won anything yet. 4 points is nothing. A couple of draws and we are back to square one. So we need to keep pushing. We need to keep thriving like we're doing right now. So the job is just starting. Right, Ashik was mentioning the match lacked intensity, but a key match coming up in the Champions League, it makes sense to be a little pragmatic, considering the opponent wasn't that strong. Valladolid had a few bright moments, especially at the beginning. Thibaut had to make a few saves. Had to parry them away. I was wondering why he couldn't catch a couple of them, but I guess he was just getting in a couple of in-game drill sessions under his belt. But all good, all good. Rudiger looked immense, like he has most of the season. Not 100% of the season. He doesn't look like the Rudiger we knew from last year, but he still has that aura. Like the Gen Z boys would call it. Bo. He has something about him that really sets him apart from our other defenders. But
he has that quality of Farouk about him.
Oh yeah, Farouk. Of course, but if you remember, the thigh strapping that he and Alaba has, do you think it's just precautionary and there's nothing much? I mean, Rudiger has had a history of knee issues. Do you think it's going to be a problem going into
I don't know about whether Rudiger has a new injury or anything like that, if that's what you're asking me. But I do know Rudiger has an ongoing chronic issue that sadly is going to be with him for the lifetime. So yeah. Real definitely do need to invest in the defensive department. Let's see how that goes.
Asensio, more like you haven't been really here this past month. Talk to me about him.
I haven't been here, but if you remember the last time, I remember a couple of months back, I was the one who said Asensio should be tried out at right back.
But I don't think in big games he can really do the job no more.
For me, I don't think Asensio has the. Right, the first time I said that Asensio should be playing at the right back position was because I saw him make a run that I kind of felt like this guy can really carry the ball and into this.
He did today as well. Won a foul.
Yeah, but I didn't see that. I didn't see that much from him consistently to be saying, like you said, right now that, like you said, that maybe big games are not possible. So I kind of do agree with that sentiment. I didn't see enough from him, especially offensively today, to say that he could be Real Madrid's right back. Maybe a lot more regularly, or maybe even getting a lot more chances. Because when Lucas Vazquez come back, I think especially games like today, Lucas Vazquez would have been immense. If I remember, if I'm not wrong, Lucas Vazquez had like an overload sort of thing, so maybe that was the reason why Ancelotti decided to start with Raul Asensio at right back position. Having said that, for me, Raul Asensio, I felt like if you look back at the game and think about it, we one player that comes to mind that didn't possibly deliver to his best is Brahim. But I think Brahim was pigeonholed a lot by Raul Asensio not being, coming.
He can't
forward.
provide width for someone to.
Exactly, and I kind of felt like a lot of the onus fell on Brahim, and he was completely taken out of the game because of that. So for me, that reason, especially if we go into a game using a tactic like this, where one of our wingers suddenly gets taken out of the game. You kind of have to wonder.
It's going to backfire. It's going to backfire.
If it's a viable
what worked against Salzburg, I think, is the blueprint more. I do think in big games, Fede right back is the way forward. I know we have to sacrifice a bit of what he brings to the midfield, but I do think he still can be a lot more effective than people think that he can be from right back.
I mean, yeah, definitely. Right now, the way as things are constituted, Valverde starting at right back is definitely a good shout. And if you do that, you might also solve some of your midfield conundrum. You know, you will probably bring in guys like Camavinga and Tchouaméni to play in the midfield. So it could be a helpful solution, but then it all depends on Ancelotti. And the key thing for Ancelotti, from what I've understood, you know, he's been a Real Madrid manager for a while now, and
Yeah.
you kind of understand that. You kind of get an understanding of how he manages his dressing room. And Lucas Vazquez is an incredibly experienced player. He's a veteran player. He's an important player for him to manage the dressing room. So I don't really think that he's going to do Lucas Vazquez that dirty. So I definitely think if Lucas Vazquez is available, he's definitely going to start.
Vasquez can come on and make a huge difference in games, you know. But man, like I don't see how he cope against the top
here's the
left
thing,
wingers.
if there's a big game and suddenly you drop Lucas to play Fede, it sends a message that you don't really have the confidence in Lucas to be playing big games, and that has an effect. So for me, I don't think Ancelotti
It'll have an effect. It'll have an effect. But Mo, do you think that we will be safe with Vasquez down our right?
No, I definitely get where you're coming from, and I agree with that. But the thing is, like, you have to consider the fact that Ancelotti doesn't necessarily just have to manage the players in the big games. He also needs them for other games, and he's also trying to manage the dressing room. And to manage the dressing room, Lucas Vazquez is an important player. But suddenly, if he does that, he completely, you know, it sends a message that maybe Ancelotti doesn't really have full confidence in him. So, you know, he doesn't really get what he needs from Lucas Vazquez in that scenario. I completely agree where you say that maybe Fede Valverde is our best option. And I like I said, you know, completely valid, especially given the performances that he has had, you know, like you said, against Salzburg. But we also have to consider the fact that Ancelotti is not just managing games, he's also managing players. And there are people's emotions involved. So certain things that he does, we don't necessarily agree with it. But then we are sitting here and treating these players like, you know, they are FIFA characters, but they are not. They are people with emotions.
I mean, we are armchair analysts for a reason. But Mo,
Exactly.
quickly, Raul Asensio, you know, at centre back, like, do you think he is a major cornerstone to what this defense is going to look like come March, April?
I mean, he definitely has an important role. I remember the last time I was here, you asked me about whether I would start Tchouaméni in big games or Raul Asensio. I mentioned the fact that he didn't have any experience, but now I'm certainly starting to change. For me, I mean, it is a valid alternative to have, and I think Raul Asensio, so far, what he has done, you know, start of the season, nobody would have imagined that we would be in this situation where we would be saying Raul Asensio has an opportunity. But this guy has demonstrated on the pitch with his work that he has the ability to play, especially in big games. I mean, he went against Liverpool and he did a pretty decent job. He gave a good account of himself. So for me, it reached to the point that now today at the start of the podcast we were talking about how Ancelotti has finally deservedly given Raul Asensio a starting spot again and given him some game time. So for me, I think Raul Asensio, like you mentioned, definitely deserves a lot of praise for the work he's done, and he should be in the contention when it comes to big games because Tchouaméni seems to have struggled a little bit in the centre back position, especially lately. Yeah. There have been some games where his performances haven't been up to the mark, and Raul Asensio has performed. So, like you were saying earlier in the season, you know, when Mbappe wasn't performing, there has to be a level of meritocracy. So, I completely agree with that, and I definitely think Raul Asensio deserves a shot. Especially, you know, for Mbappe, we didn't have an alternative. For right now, we have an alternative with Asensio. So, you know, we should definitely give him a chance.
Right. No, I'd written this down quickly. Yeah, this is kind of a little bit off topic. You know, big up Asensio again. Like I hope he has a key role because we need him, right? I'd written down if Carlo guides this knee-strapped centre backs to a league or a double, he needs a statue. I know. We don't do statues apart from, you know, there are rumors. Sid was telling me apparently Perez would be getting a statue. You know, eventually. You know, I would like Carlo's statue to be there as well. Come on, and this guy, you know, how he's kind of again trying to do something impossible. I mean, we have to give him the share of the love, you know, that he deserves. But on to serious matters. Big up Ashik, he was mentioning again. Danny Ceballos. Oh, it was Flameboy. Big up Flameboy was mentioning Danny Ceballos. I'm so sorry. I wasn't familiar with your game. 100% unfair yellow as well. Clean win.
Yeah,
you know, of the ball, and he got a yellow.
Exactly, and I believe the commentator on the broadcast I was watching said the fact that, you know, the referee got done in by the screams. So definitely that's what happened.
Yeah, he got stepped on actually,
Yeah,
Ceballos, and he
exactly.
got yellow carded. So
It was a bad tackle by
yeah,
the Valladolid player, and then suddenly our player gets the yellow card.
mm, funny, funny. Um, quickly, Mo, I didn't ask you about Rodrigo. His assist to kind of Mbappe wasn't really something that that would make him feel too happy, because Mbappe had to do the heavy lifting for that to end up at the back of the net. But Rodrigo, as of late, has had a severe rise in his stocks, man. Like he has completely kind of turned around the doubts that we had, uh, you know, kind of midpoint of the first half of the season, if I
Yeah,
must say.
definitely. I mean, Rodrigo has improved his form a lot, and he deserves credit for it. So
Mm.
today's game probably not the best example of that, but
He
overall,
wasn't really firing.
yeah. But overall, he in the recent weeks, as have a lot of other players. I think Rodrigo is finally coming into his own. Is it because he's playing on the left? But I think even when he's played on the right so far in the recent times, he's done pretty well for himself.
Yeah,
Rodrigo has a lot of potential, and I guess with Erling Haaland renewing, especially signing that 10-year contract renewal, it kind of
yeah.
makes me think that it maybe something happened behind the scenes where he got Erling Haaland's camp got the feeling that Real Madrid move wasn't coming. Okay, this is me
Hmm.
just being speculating and
Yeah.
being the whatever you might say. But yeah, so I think a big reason for that is like Real Madrid definitely probably behind the scenes have given a lot of confidence to Rodrigo, because Rodrigo,
Mm.
as we know, he's a big Madrid fan. But if he hadn't had that confidence, if he hadn't had that messaging from the team that we have full confidence in you, and consequently
Yeah.
maybe the Haaland camp gets this messaging that this front four is going to be ours for the
Mm.
foreseeable future. Probably he doesn't sign that
Mm.
contract, that 10-year extension. But for me, I guess Rodrigo has definitely stepped up in recent weeks. He has performed. He has scored key goals, and we know at best Rodrigo can he's definitely better than Marcus Rashford. So those comparisons of him being a Brazilian Marcus Rashford are like far way off the mark. Uh, but then I definitely want to see. There were some
Yeah.
suggestions after the Barcelona game about potentially Ancelotti dropping Rodrigo for big games or whatever. I want to see how he reacts to that, because if that
Mm.
happens, if it was you in place of Rodrigo and your manager suddenly decided that I'm not going to drop you for big games.
I would feel like shit, but I'll be extremely motivated to come on to the bench and make a difference, because Vinny and Mbappe alone wouldn't be able to win us games in the Champions League. I don't think so.
Yeah, so
So
but the thing is, like, Rodrigo has been here for so many years. Uh,
yeah,
he's consistently delivered,
but
especially.
I do think Rodrigo, the reason why he's staying and is also content with this sort of unsure role about whether he's a full-fledged starter or a rotational player, is the fact that he's a realist. He understands where he is at, because when he sees Vinny, Jude, and Mbappe in training, he knows himself, I ain't on their level. It's just as simple as that. More. I'll be his
Okay,
biggest fan and be
I
honest.
think we kind of have to understand that this is a competitive player, so they don't really think anybody's better than them. I
No,
definitely,
I don't necessarily agree with what you're just saying. I mean, it's okay, bro. I mean, do you think every top striker looked at Phenomenal and went, "Oh yeah, like I can be him"? No, you can't be him.
no. See, the thing is, like, they would give credit to them, and they would say that they have certain level of
Yeah.
skills, but nobody's going to be say, okay, fine, it is okay to be inferior to them, and I am inferior. I don't think a competitive player is ever going to say that. For me, I do understand
Fair enough.
the point that you like, where you say, okay, fine, these guys are at a level that maybe if I'm Rodrigo, my thinking
Mm,
would be, okay, I understand that these guys are at a level that
mm,
is maybe slightly above me because of the consistency that they're showing, because Rodrigo doesn't have
yeah.
that consistency. But then he would say, I can reach that. And
Yeah.
if suddenly the manager drops you in big games, for him the
Hmm.
message is like, okay, I've been here for so long, I've done this, and this. There have
But he
been
would know, as a player, when the front three starts more, we look shambolic. We have no balance. We need an extra body in
all right.
midfield.
So if that happens, what he's thinking, for at least if I was him, that's what I would be thinking. I would be like,
Mm,
okay, fine, let me go to a different team where they would value me. So
mhm.
that where I would be an undisputed starter, where I can finally show the top level I can reach, because whenever he plays
Yeah.
on the left, I mean, we cannot say that Rodrigo is inferior to anyone when he's performing on the way he does on the left. So, I mean, that could be a line of thinking. But then, the fact is that Rodrigo is a massive Real Madrid fan. He has always shown himself to be
And
one.
if he, like,
And
I
he
do
has
believe if he
sacrificed a
is
lot for the team. So,
100%.
for anything could happen. I mean, I'm not trying to build up scenarios in my head where Rodrigo leaves Real Madrid because I definitely want him to stay. And I think, maybe it's not working right now, but the solution isn't that these guys don't work together. The answer is how to make them work together. So Ancelotti, I'm pretty sure, will figure something out.
And I'll be very honest, I mean, greener pastures are always a thing. Yeah, like there'll be a thing, in your marriage, there'll be a thing at your workplace. There'll be a thing, when you're driving home. You could look at another sedan and be like, yeah, like I would want that. But let's be honest, at Madrid, the peaks are the pinnacle, basically. Like you could probably argue that going to City or going to PSG would give him more game time and a bit more limelight, but the successes they would achieve is nowhere compared to us. And I do fully believe that he is a realist and he understands this is a unique opportunity. Not many players have had the luxury to have. He would look at the likes of Isco, who stayed and still had important roles in double winning Champions League winning sides. So I would hope at least Rodrigo would be thinking that way, because maybe I'm being a bit too sentimental and want him to stay, but I see both sides. But yeah, big up Ashik. He's mentioning Suned's boy Ceballos is just showing his reliability on a consistent basis. 2025, different kind of vibe. Big up Sahil. He was mentioning insane what a little bit of confidence can do. Mbappe looks like a proper 9 now. I'm not sure. There is a bit more polishing required, but I do get what Sahil is talking about, right? Like he is kind of learning to play a bit.
Yeah, he's adapted well to the role, and like Sahil said, to echo what he said, confidence can be a hell of a drug.
Ashik was mentioning we need to make sure we are maintaining a great form, because we'll have to face the GOAT in March. He's referring to none other than the people's champion, Anthony.
Okay.
Congratulations on his move to Betis. He is going to be a force in nature. Ashik was also mentioning we are winning the treble this season so that the idiots of Barcelona can claim they destroyed us in a treble-winning season. Oh yeah, I mean that's going to be the narrative, right? 100%. I mean we all already know the script. Right, Carlo needed a Clasico loss to wake up, while Pep needed a divorce to start winning. There you go. Did you want to add something more to Pep's divorce? I hope not. Ashik was mentioning it wasn't just Ancelotti. Mourinho had massive contribution in shaping the team of the 2010s. That defense was toughened up. Mourinho brought the fire, and Carlo brought the calmness.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
it definitely, if I say that Ancelotti laid down the blueprint, doesn't necessarily mean that it was only Ancelotti. Mourinho deserves a lot of credit for the work he did as well. Like you said, success isn't just down to one person. It's like it takes multiple people working in the same direction.
100%. Ashik was mentioning, I just realized we had a clean sheet. Finally. We deserve a trophy just for that. Yeah. Like at times this season, it seemed like it was a thing of folklore. Clean sheets. But yeah, big up Priyanshu. He was mentioning, just take a look at the GD on the table. Goal difference, like I remember Barcelona were scoring 5s, 7s. They bet Valladolid 7-0, 7-0, and they were like kind of racking up the GD, and people were kind of also demanding a trophy for that. But seems like we have caught on. Good stuff. Right, Ashik was mentioning when Neymar was talking about Mbappe, it was almost like as if Neymar was talking about himself, because he's exactly like that. I'm not sure, Messi and Neymar, they're buddies, bro.
No, I think Neymar is okay. I have a funny, I have this funny opinions about Neymar, because I kind of feel people overvalue Neymar.
Hmm.
Because everybody, whenever they think of Neymar, they think of the player that he could be instead of the player that he was. And
Yeah.
Neymar also seems to think a lot about the player he could have been instead of the player he was.
Mm.
With all due respect, as much as talented as Neymar was, he never reached the levels that Mbappe has. So
Yeah. 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 That's the honest truth. Mbappe just needs to cap this off with a couple of 3, 4 Champions Leagues. Couple
I
is
mean,
putting
if
it
if
lightly.
if Mbappe wins one Champions League, he would have overtaken Neymar, because although Neymar has a Champions League, he doesn't really have a World Cup win, and Mbappe does
Mm.
have that. So,
Mm.
for me, Mbappe has definitely shown himself, like, he's achieved more in football than Neymar has. I mean, I don't want to say that Neymar was a shit footballer, because he wasn't. He was definitely one of the most incredibly talented players that this game has seen. But the end product, like,
Since you mentioned it, I was reading. Was it Rivaldo who put him in his place? He was apparently reacting to something that he read where he
yeah,
said
yeah.
that
I think
Neymar.
that was a fun situation, because Neymar was asked, like, if you could replace one person
Yeah, yeah.
in the 2002 World Cup winning team with yourself, who would that be? And he kind of said Rivaldo.
Rivaldo.
So that angered Rivaldo.
Funny, it's funny. It's funny. I mean, Rivaldo isn't phenomenal, but man,
To be quite honest, to
mm,
Neymar, I think I would have replaced that Ronaldinho. Okay, Ronaldinho
right.
as a whole, when they speak, definitely you don't want to replace.
In 2002, yes,
Yeah,
yeah, he was just
I
yeah.
wouldn't have said Rivaldo,
Mm,
because Rivaldo was, like, very important for this team as well.
For Barcelona as well. Ashik would know better. He was around then. But yeah, a big up Ashik was mentioning Ceballos already has 3 Champions League titles to his resume. People forget that he was originally signed at the start of 2017-18, the year of the third of the three-peat. The boy has earned his place. Uh, he just needs to prove one big game, one big knockout game. Him deciding it, yeah, I'll be all about that ship, that plane, that boat. Um, but the Madrid TV, big up yourself. He was mentioning your apologies better be as loud as your disrespect. Kylian unstoppable, 100%. Mine, at least, is very fucking loud. Ever since the Atalanta game, I've been completely warmed up to him, and the way he basically, took the game, you know, uh, took the initiative to basically, change the game for us away in Bergamo. That I do think that was Mbappe's turning point in the all white. So yeah, ever since then, I don't think he has looked back. He's going from strength to strength. She was mentioning Mbappe is also the only other player other than Geoff Hurst to score a hat trick in a World Cup final. Right. Let me clarify. Ash was mentioning Neymar would be a bench player in the O2 Brazil World Cup winning squad. Yeah. Yeah, Neymar, Vinicius, Rodrigo, these guys wouldn't start, man. I don't think so.
It's a very funny thing how we look back at the 2002 World Cup winning Brazilian squad, because when they went to the World Cup, they were classified as the worst Brazilian side in years, and right now
Were they? Okay.
yeah, and right now they're the last Brazilian side to win the World Cup.
So they're kind of a bit overrated. You're
No,
saying
I'm just saying that it is funny how a World Cup win can change the perspective
change?
on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
100%, 100%. I mean, bro, 15-16 season, right? Zidane's first Champions League. Were we really the best team in Europe? I don't think so. But the narrative has shifted since then, hasn't
yeah,
it?
that's true.
It's just
I
the
mean,
way it works.
even when we talk about that squad under Ancelotti and everybody, like, that period from
Yeah.
let's say, the way we look back at them, if we were doing podcasts back then, we would be criticizing them on ad nauseum, going on and on about how pathetic they were after some games. And I guess because right now we do that after some, like, you just have to look back last season. There were some games where Real Madrid weren't
Yeah.
playing well, and we would be a little bit too critical on them. And now this season we kind of look back at it fondly. So nostalgia can be really something.
100%. I thrive on it. Don't tell me about it. But Ceballos was mentioning. I mean, Ceballos actually has a 95% pass completion rate in La Liga. That's cruise levels. Yeah. So the similarities or the comparisons. I mean, not on the talent. Like, he won't be on the same talent pool as Cruz. I mean, he would be a couple of notches below, but he's really proving himself right now. Right, Ashik was mentioning the worst Brazilian side that won all their matches within 90 minutes says something. Right. Yeah, yeah. He has a point. He has a point. But yeah, big up every single one of you in the chat. Big up people tuning in as well. Always would like to thank our audio listeners. A huge part of what makes this pod what it is. Your support and constant love and affection over the last four years or so has really been humbling. Please keep it coming. Your feedback is very valued. Whether it be technical or something regarding some of our takes. If you disagree with us, if you agree with us, let us know, man. The DMs are open both on X, on Insta. Some people, has taken the pain to message me on the privates when I used to go on rants about Mbappe. I appreciate everything. To be very honest, it comes with the territory. But I'll be very honest in saying that I think and say the same thing. I wouldn't think a certain way and then say something else, because this team is my life, and like many of you guys, this team is basically what decides what mood we are in, basically going into a day. So yeah, this is life or death for all of us. So yeah, I wouldn't shy away from speaking my heart more than my mind. Really, when it comes to Madrid. But yeah, big up Ashik. Big up all the people in the chat. Big up Priyanshu who's here. Big up Madrid TV. Always show some love to Sid's fan cams as well whenever you can, boys. The boys are really putting in an effort to bring you some honest opinions after games. So show them some love. Shout out to Laura Serrano as well. We spoke to her a couple of days ago after Salzburg, for always supporting our dream. Big up our sponsors, Manscaped, LBI20 to get 20% off and free shipping on manscaped.com. Go check them out. Go show some love to Fanatics, the biggest sports apparel collection online, official partners of Madrid and La Liga. Right. Show some love to Talksport and their socials. This pod and everything on LBR is officially powered by the Talksport Fan Network. Mo, any final thoughts? Pressed away. Wednesday.
Yeah.
I don't want you to make any Henry-ish jokes on you. This is a PG-rated pod, so keep it to yourself. But pressed away.
Yeah, and not really. I mean, I would just say that I hope Kylian Mbappe continues the form that he was in, and hopefully Real Madrid, as unrealistic as it might seem right now, hopefully they somehow squeeze into the top 8, because, man, I don't really want these guys to be playing 2 extra games that we could have avoided.
Would we really have a big chance of facing City? That's my question.
So, right as things stand right now, we are probably facing one of Juve or Celtic, and if we win that game,
not Bruges.
Sorry, no,
not Bruges. Okay.
No, okay. The way the draw is, if we finish in the positions that we are, and the table stays the same, the teams that we're going to be facing are either going to be Juve or Celtic, and if we get past that round, the round of 16 is probably going to be against Barcelona or Liverpool.
So there isn't a redraw after the. No. Okay, so the entire competition is set in stone?
It's not set in stone. There are some variables to it, but the broad path is decided.
The bracket is decided already.
The broad bracket, because once Liverpool and Barcelona finish first and second, they aren't going to face each other again till the finals.
Okay.
So
okay.
Real Madrid, as it stands,
so none of the ball drop and shift and shit anymore.
I don't exactly know how they'll do it, because right now I think Real Madrid are 16th, right, and Bayern are 15th, and Celtic and Juve happen to be 17th and 18th. So the way it is, it's like teams that are from 9 to 16 are seeded, from 17 to 24 are unseeded, and so the 9th guy faces the 24th, 9th and 10th face the 23rd and 24th people. About who faces each other, that still needs to be decided. So I'm guessing there is some of those ball thingies that they'll do to figure
out. No. I don't think the seeded teams play the second leg at home, right?
Seeded teams play the second leg at home, and the seeded teams play the okay. So yeah, basically, whoever faces 9th and 10th faces 23rd, 24th.
The lowest team.
Yeah. So there is basically a mini draw for them, but then there also needs to be a draw to decide who ends up in which bracket. So let's say Real Madrid finish 16th, Bayern finish 15th, and Juve and Celtic are in their respective positions. There would be a draw to figure out who Madrid face between Juve and Celtic, and then which side of the draw they lie on. But once that's decided, the round of 16 probably, if we end up in the position that we are in currently, we might end up facing Barcelona or Liverpool in the round of 16. So for me, the desire is that Real Madrid hopefully can avoid that fate, and we don't want to face that tough an opponent as much as we clown Barcelona. They've had a good season so far. So,
my goodness! So you're telling me even if we win, and if we win and we don't get into the top 8, we have a chance of facing Barcelona and Liverpool round of 16.
Yeah, I mean, if we are in the spots that we are in currently, but if we go a little higher, maybe we end up somehow in 9th or 10th spot. Probably going to be probably not going to be facing them in the round of 16, but at some stage, quarterfinals, semifinals, we might end up running into them.
Holy shit, that's gonna be, man, I don't have the energy. I'll be very honest. But yeah, not Barcelona anyway. We can laugh at them, but when we face them, there's a real problem. I don't want these guys to come across Barcelona, at least until the final, if we can avoid them. But yeah, big up everyone again. A couple of comments before we go. Marcus, big up yourself, was mentioning congratulations to Kiki the Conqueror. Ashik was mentioning our whole week is planned with Madrid as the centerpiece. We schedule our week based on the fixture. I never schedule my travel on game day unless there isn't a choice. I mean, Mbappe and Real Madrid better be milking it on Wednesday and finish group stage with confidence. 100%.
We are playing on Wednesday or playing on Tuesday?
Wednesday. All games are at the same time, 3 p.m. Okay. Right. Until next time, boys. Hala Madrid.
Hala Madrid.
Hola Madridistas, I'm back once again to remind you that if you want to help and support this project of ours, this channel, you can do so by going to manscaped.com, using our code LBR20 to get 20% off and free shipping worldwide. That's our code LBR20 to get 20% off and free shipping. You help us out and you get a cool product. This time I'm here to introduce you guys to the Chairman Pro. It is a trimmer that features 2 interchangeable blade heads, one called the 4-blade foil, which is to get that super smooth baby skin, and the other one is called the stubble trimmer for if you want to still have that little bit of stubble but look a bit cleaner and fresher. You can do both with the same trimmer. It also features flex adjust technology. It adjusts it to your face, how you shave. You can also lock it for a full precision. The thing is waterproof. You can shave yourself in the shower if you want to. It's completely waterproof. It features 75 hours of battery life, so if you're going on some kind of travel, you can charge it beforehand and it will still have enough battery for the trip. Also, if you're going on a trip, you can lock it so that it doesn't turn on as you go. It has an LED. It's a great thing, and especially now that Christmas is coming up, if you want to send it as a gift to your boyfriend, or if you're a man, get it for yourself or your brother or dad. It's a great gift for any man, and this bad boy can even get up to like 5 days of beard, so you don't even need to trim it down before you can fully shave it. This does it for you. So yeah, get this at manscaped.com. Use our code LBR20 to get 20% off and free shipping. That's code LBR20 to get 20% off and free shipping. Thank you for watching, and back to the video.